So the whole point of this consultation is really to make sure we are creating a one-of-a-kind custom piece of artwork all about you or for your wife or whoever we're going to create it for.
Her name's Dusti. It's Dusti. She's awesome. She's a badass. She started about 25 years ago. She looks like she's 25 still, but she's a builder. She worked in a tree farm with her grandparents. She then went into the brick with her dad and then went into making people money. So it's just like this really cool kind of story how she started from and she was literally homeless.
And this is where the magic begins. I started this 38-hour-long project by taking the information from our consultation, rewatching it, and doing a total brain dump on how we could bring together all of the ideas that Jennifer had shared on the consultation. There was a lot of information that was given to me on the call, and I think it was important to be able to incorporate all of the details in a way that wasn't too loud and in your face, but more so one specific cohesive design that felt very organic and natural to the story that Jennifer relayed about Dusti's life. I really wanted to lean into the bricklaying concept. So first off, I loved the idea that Dusti's life was built brick by brick. There were no shortcuts. It was her intentional work ethic and her ability to overcome obstacles in her life that led to her incredible success today. And that was a story that I decided we needed to lean into when creating the design of this shoe. Keep in mind, we wanted it to be wearable and something she could wear confidently, not feel like it's something that she would have to dance around in and be very careful with. So I wanted to lean into that rugged bricklaying, but incorporate several details of her life that were so special to her that when she saw the shoes, she felt, I really feel seen by somebody who loves me. And that's exactly what we created here. So what you can see here, I am dyeing the leather of the shoe underneath of the paint to make sure that no cracks and creases show when the shoes are worn. When it comes to custom shoe design, it's really important to lay a strong foundation, so the shoes were prepped with acetone, sanded down so that you can feel confident wearing these shoes. Next up, we have a specific color palette. Of course, you can see I hand pulled every single paint to make sure that this was intentionally colored to the color scheme that Jennifer and I discussed. Something specific that I wanted to lean into was that Texas A&M color. I wanted to make sure it felt vintage, but also has more of your school color as a slight nod to the representation of your education. The video is sped up to make sure that you can get through this in one sitting, but the amount of time that it takes to pick out the specific colors is really important to me because I think the color scheme can really make or break a project. And what's important as the artist, I want there to be intentionality behind every single brushstroke. When you're purchasing a custom pair of shoes, there is no reason for me to rush this process. I want you to know the color scheme is intentional because of your school. I want you to know that the bricks are intentional because of the way that your life was built brick by brick, but also a nod to your father's company. You can see here, I'm actually dyeing the base of the shoe so it doesn't show that yellow color. I didn't like how stark that yellow color looked compared to the brick color, so I wanted to ensure that the undertone was matching color palette, even though you would not be seeing much of this at all. Next up, I wanted to create a custom stencil for the brick so it could feel intentional, vintage, antique, and also hand-drawn at the same time. I hate the idea of something that looks AI-generated or computer-generated when you're purchasing a custom pair of hand-painted shoes. Once the stencil was complete, I printed it out using my Cricut machine and decided to start laying the brick by brick. During this process, I couldn't help but think about all of the important milestones that have created Dusti's career, and it ultimately created her entire life to meeting with Jennifer. Every element of a person's life is built by their choices that they create every single day, which ultimately can create an entire picture of somebody's life. Overcoming homelessness, learning how to read in 3rd grade, working on her grandparents' tree farm, receiving an education from Texas A&M, being a badass female in a male-dominated industry, being rejected, getting told no, and still continuing to pursue an incredible career is such an admirable trait that I just could not stop thinking about, and it genuinely inspires me to be able to hear these kinds of stories as somebody who's also trying to pursue a dream of her own. Being able to hear these kinds of stories absolutely lights me up. So Dusti and Jennifer, I want to say thank you so much for even sharing these stories with me. Hearing that other women are able to achieve such greatness and inspire those around them is such an admirable quality that I hope you never stop sharing, because you never know how much it really does impact those who are trying something new, who have been rejected and still need to get back up. Continuing on with the art piece, I wanted to talk about all of the important details and how they're going to show up on the shoe. So of course we have laid the brick and it looks like a beautiful antique vintage design, but now let's talk about the personal details. I wanted to include the Calendar Wealth logo, so I started to hand pour the color directly into my airbrush machine. But something didn't quite feel right just throwing the Calendar Wealth logo directly onto the shoe without having a connection to the brick. So of course we were leaning into that organic, natural feeling of the shoe itself, but something still didn't quite feel right. How was I going to connect the bird imagery to the brick design? And that's when it hit me. Jennifer mentioned that Dusti reminds her of the goddess Athena. Athena is oftentimes represented by an olive tree. Trees have also played a very important role in Dusti's life when she was growing up working on her grandparents' tree farm. I wanted to incorporate the trees and the olive branch into a beautiful design with a natural background that the Calendar Wealth bird could sit on. That's when I decided I wanted to have the bird sitting on an olive tree branch. I think this is such a beautiful representation of not only the individual, but a beautiful nod to how Jennifer sees Dusti, yet it also incorporates beautifully into the art piece itself. My goal is never to have bricks, olive tree, random bird. No, that's not the point of creating a custom piece of artwork that somebody can wear. The goal is to create a beautiful through line and a story that Dusti can share whenever anybody stops her and says, "Hey, what's on your shoes?" Dusti can take that moment to take up space in this world and say, "Hey, these are a custom pair of shoes that my wife designed for me based around my life story." My goal with creating custom shoes is so that they can be seen and individuals are able to share their stories with the world. The reason I have created artwork that people can wear in public is so that they have an opportunity to be seen and share their stories. Because once I heard Dusti's story, it already made me feel like I can do so much more than what I'm already doing, because there are people out there who have proved it is possible. Now back to the art. Once I figured out where I wanted to put the birds sitting on the olive branches, I decided to lay the stencil and get to work. And here is where the entire shoe came to life. This part took much longer than expected because I wanted it to look perfect. I wanted the Calendar Wealth established in 2003 to feel like these bricks had been laid in 2003. So established, vintage, antique, worn over time. This wasn't as easy as I expected. I thought it would just look vintage if I just wrote over it. However, it took several different layers of different colors to really get that feel. The goal was also not to have it look perfect. I wanted it to look worn through, so that included acetoning, going over the piece several different times to make sure that this felt like it was worn in. Now, the important part of what I wanted to do here was I didn't want it to look obvious from a stranger who walked by and saw her shoes. I wanted somebody to look very closely and say, "Oh my gosh, what does that say? There's personalized details in the bricks." And that was Jennifer's goal throughout the entire process. The final piece of every project is sealing the shoe so that you feel confident wearing them. I laced them up and packaged them in my signature BT Shoe Studio packaging. I just want to say thank you so much for trusting me with this story and allowing me to bring it to life. I've created a small business over the past 2 years, but I've been doing this for the past decade of my life. And thanks to people like you who have a story to share, I've been able to build a full-time career out of this. So Dusti, Jennifer, thank you so much, and I hope you love the shoes.